Welcome back to the channel. I'm David, a 60-year-old physician who spent nearly 3 decades working with patients in their 50s, 60s, even well into their 90s. And today, I want to begin with a small story. Not long ago, one of my patients, Helen, 74, walked into my office looking worried. She said, "David, I've eaten vegetables my entire life. Greens are the one thing I thought could never cause trouble. But lately, every time I finish a meal, I feel dizzy. My heart beats fast. What's happening to me?" I looked at her, smiled gently, and said, "Helen, your body isn't betraying you. It's simply changing, and you need to treat it a little differently now. And that's exactly why I made this video." I want you to imagine this for a moment. You've lived more than 60 years. Your heart has beaten well over 2 billion times. Your kidneys have filtered hundreds of thousands of liters of blood. Every cell in your body has repaired itself countless times in one day. They simply start to slow down. Not because they're weak, but because they've been working hard for a very, very long time. When we enter our 60s, our body no longer processes food the way it did at 30 or 40. Our blood becomes a little thicker, the liver and kidneys become a bit more cautious, and many of us are now taking blood pressure medications, blood thinners, diabetes meds, or cholesterol meds. And this is the important part. Some vegetables, even the healthiest ones, can become a double-edged sword if we eat them at the wrong time, in the wrong amount, or alongside the wrong medications. I know that sounds strange. For a lifetime, we've all been told that vegetables are always good, but science and years of clinical experience sometimes tells a more nuanced story. I once had a 68-year-old patient who ate huge bowls of kale every single day to lower his cholesterol. But he was also taking a blood thinner. The result? His INR levels swung up and down, too low one week, too high the next. A simple fall could have caused internal bleeding. Another patient loved eating water spinach and cucumbers at night, but her kidneys were weak. The oxalate buildup caused back pain, leg cramps, and one night, she ended up in the ER with acute kidney stress. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because the body after 60 is not the same as the body before 60. Its needs are different. Its sensitivities are different. And that's what today's video is all about. Which vegetables can cause issues if you're on certain medications? Which ones can disturb your circulation if eaten at night? And most importantly, how to eat the right way to protect your brain, heart, and blood vessels. Before we jump into the details, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were eating perfectly healthy, yet your body didn't respond the way you expected? If the answer is yes, you are not alone, and you're in the right place. So now, let's step into the first vegetable on our list. 1. Tomatoes. You know, I often tell my patients that tomatoes are one of nature's little gifts, but like any gift, if we use it at the wrong time, it can make the body work harder than it needs to. Tomatoes contain natural histamine and a bit of acidity. For the young, this is nothing. But once we cross 60 or 65, things change. Digestion slows. The nerves and blood vessels become more sensitive. And our sleep becomes more fragile. Imagine this. It's evening. You have a fresh tomato salad, something light, something healthy. But around midnight, you wake up with your heart beating a little faster, or a subtle sense of restlessness. One of my patients, Robert, 72, once told me, "David, I thought I had nighttime hypertension. Turns out it was just the tomatoes I ate before bed." The histamine can make some people feel warm, restless, or alert. The acidity can nudge the digestive system, starting a small chain reaction: slightly poorer sleep, slight blood pressure swings, a sense of pressure in the body. Not a stroke, not a medical emergency, but enough to make your blood vessels work overtime at a moment when they should be resting. Let me be crystal clear. Tomatoes are not the culprit. They only become a problem when we eat them too late, too much, or when our body is already sensitive because of medications. If you love tomatoes, keep eating them. Just enjoy them earlier in the day, when your digestion and circulation are strongest. At night, give your body the quiet it deserves. Tell me, have you noticed that acidic or fresh foods affect your sleep more now than before? If so, paying attention to timing might be the simple key your body has been asking for. 2. Okra. Okra is one of the vegetables I personally love. It's soft, gentle on the stomach, full of gut-friendly fiber, and for generations it's been treated almost like a natural tonic. But just like everything else in life, Even good things need to be used the right way. Okra contains a notable amount of oxalate, a compound younger bodies usually handle with no trouble at all. But once we cross age 60, the kidneys don't work with the same youthful energy they once had at 30 or 40. They slow down, become more cautious, and sometimes even a small excess of oxalate is enough to make them struggle. I remember a patient, Mrs. Lorraine, 69, who loved boiled okra with milk. She believed that calcium in milk plus okra's natural gel would make her bones stronger, but reality turned out differently. After a few months, she came in complaining of a dull ache in her lower back and mild swelling in her legs. Tests showed that her kidneys were overworking due to calcium oxalate crystals formed during digestion. Not dangerous right away, but enough to interfere with microcirculation, exhaust the kidneys, and put extra strain on the blood vessels. What I want you to understand clearly is this: okra is not bad. It simply requires a healthy kidney system to process the oxalate inside it. If you have chronic kidney disease, a history of kidney stones, or are taking medications that affect kidney function, eating too much okra, especially combined with calcium-rich foods like milk, cheese, or seafood, can unintentionally create the perfect environment for oxalate crystals to build up. So what should you do? Very simple. Eat in moderation. Rotate your vegetables instead of focusing on just one. And if your kidneys aren't young anymore, choose lighter, easier foods more often. Have you ever felt lower back pressure or hip discomfort after eating a food you thought was harmless? Sometimes the body whispers, we just don't notice. 3. Raw carrots. I often tell my patients that carrots are sunshine in the kitchen, crisp, sweet, bright, and full of life. But there's something many people over 60 don't realize. Raw carrots contain natural sugars that absorb very quickly. For younger adults, this isn't a problem. But after age 60 to 70, our bodies react very differently to fast-absorbing natural sugars. I remember Mr. James, 67, who told me during an appointment, David, I eat a few sticks of raw carrot every night instead of dessert, but every night, I wake up around 2 or 3 a.m. with my heart racing, and I can't fall back asleep. After checking, we found that his blood sugar rose slightly after dinner and then dropped sharply at night, a very common pattern in people with insulin resistance or in older adults. When blood sugar drops too quickly, the body triggers a warning alarm, releasing adrenaline to stabilize things. And that adrenaline is exactly what causes many people to wake up anxious, restless, or with fluctuating blood pressure at night. The point is, raw carrots are not dangerous. They just become a challenge if you eat them at night or eat too many when your metabolism has slowed down. If you enjoy carrots, try eating them at lunch or in the afternoon, or lightly steaming cooking them, which slows sugar absorption and makes digestion easier. And if you've ever found yourself waking up at night with a fast heartbeat for no reason, ask yourself, what did I eat tonight? Was it something as innocent as a few slices of raw carrot? After 60, the body becomes sensitive. It's not blaming you. It's simply trying to tell you it needs gentler care. 4. Water spinach. Morning glory. Water spinach is a dish filled with nostalgia for many people. A plate of bright green boiled greens. A little broth with a squeeze of lime. Just thinking about it brings summer memories back. But once we pass age 60, the body begins responding to water spinach in more subtle ways, sometimes quietly, sometimes more noticeably. Water spinach contains a relatively high amount of purines and oxalate. For young, healthy adults, it's not an issue, but for those living with gout, chronic kidney disease, or taking daily diuretics, things get more complicated. I recall a patient, Mr. Harold, 71, who loved stir-fried water spinach with garlic whenever he visited his children in another state. I miss the flavor from my childhood, he said, but after just a few days, his knees became warm and painful. Tests showed that his uric acid had spiked partly from the purines in water spinach, partly from his diuretic medication causing his body to retain more uric acid. Another case, Mrs. Cynthia, 66, with stage 3 chronic kidney disease. Just 2 weeks of eating water spinach almost every day caused mild electrolyte imbalances, leading to unstable blood pressure and fatigue. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to make her feel like her body wasn't cooperating anymore. Here's the key message: water spinach is not harmful. It simply requires healthy kidneys and stable purine metabolism to process it. If you have gout, kidney issues, Or take diuretics. Eat water spinach in moderation, not total avoidance. And if on that day you've already eaten a lot of seafood, red meat, or organ meats, then water spinach is a dish you should scale back. Sometimes the body doesn't shout its warnings. It sends small signals: mild joint aches, fatigue, blood pressure swings. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it saying, "Please be a little gentler with me." 5. Broccoli. I often joke with my patients that broccoli is the nutrition champion of the vegetable world. It's packed with fiber, antioxidants, great for the heart, great for the gut. But here's something many people don't realize. Even a champion has a downside if we don't understand how our body handles it, especially after age 60. Broccoli contains a relatively high amount of vitamin K for most people. That's perfectly fine, even beneficial. But for those taking blood thinners, especially warfarin, the body becomes much more sensitive. Vitamin K plays a natural role in blood clotting. When you eat a consistent amount each week, your body adapts smoothly. But if one week you load up on broccoli every single day, and the next week you don't touch it at all, that delicate balance can be disrupted. I remember Linda, 76, who was proud to cook healthy meals for herself. One week she ate broccoli almost daily because she heard it was good for the heart. The following week, she barely ate any because she was busy with her grandkids. The result, her INR levels became unpredictable. Some days they were too high, making her bruise easily. Other days, too low, increasing her risk of clot formation, not immediately dangerous, but enough to leave her anxious and unsteady. And I want you to understand this clearly. Broccoli does not cause stroke, not at all. But inconsistency, eating way too much one week and none the next, is the real issue. After age 60, the body operates like a well-worn clock. It appreciates rhythm, stability, and gentleness. So if you're taking blood thinners, here's the simplest way to enjoy broccoli safely. Eat it consistently. Don't go from a mountain of it to none at all. I always tell my patients, it's rarely the vegetable causing trouble. It's how our body reacts when we treat it inconsistently. If you've noticed easier bruising, unusual fatigue, or fluctuating energy, sometimes the answer lies in the week's meals more than we realize. 6. Onions. Onions are one of the vegetables I often encourage my patients to include in their daily meals. They are aromatic, naturally sweet, and contain quercetin, a plant compound that gently supports lower blood pressure. But here's what many people over 60 overlook when paired with blood pressure medications, especially in the evening. Onions can sometimes push things a bit too far. I remember Patrick, 70, who told me during a follow-up visit, "David, I'm trying to eat healthier, so I saute onions with chicken breast every night. But lately, I wake up dizzy around midnight. I have to hold on to the wall just to get to the bathroom." When we checked, his nighttime blood pressure was dropping too low, not dangerously low, but enough to cause dizziness and increase the risk of falling. The medication did part of the work. The quercetin in onions did the rest. When combined at night, the body sometimes struggles to control how low the pressure dips during sleep. This is what I want to emphasize. Onions are not bad. They're very good. Quercetin is excellent for cardiovascular health. The issue is timing and how sensitive the body becomes after 60. Blood pressure naturally drops during sleep. Add a blood pressure-lowering food at night, and you may experience dizziness when getting up at midnight, a slight racing heart as your body tries to stabilize pressure, morning fatigue, and for those on strong medications, a higher risk of nighttime falls. After age 60, the body doesn't like sudden dips. It prefers gentle steadiness. So if you love onions, and many people do keep eating them, just enjoy them earlier in the day, lunch, afternoon, or whenever you're taking fewer medications. Let your nighttime blood pressure follow its natural rhythm. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night feeling a little lightheaded, or like your heartbeat slipped? Sometimes the reason isn't the medication. It's the familiar foods you ate at dinner. 7. Corn is one of those foods that brings a smile to many older adults. A warm, freshly cooked ear of corn with that sweet aroma. It carries memories of childhood, local markets, and summer evenings. But here's the part many people over 60 don't notice. Corn behaves like a starch, and starches can raise blood sugar faster than expected. I remember Joanne, 73, who loved having boiled corn as her nighttime snack. She said, "David, I thought corn was a vegetable. I just eat it so I won't feel hungry." But she began waking up at 1, 2 a.m. with her heart pounding and her hands trembling slightly. When we checked her nighttime glucose patterns, we found that her blood sugar spiked after dinner, then dropped too quickly during sleep, creating a false alarm response. Here's what I want you to understand. Corn isn't harmful, but eating it at the wrong time, especially at night, can cause blood sugar to rise quickly, then crash as you sleep, triggering adrenaline release, leading to a racing heart, restless sleep, and fluctuating blood pressure. For younger people, this is barely noticeable, but for those over 60 with slower metabolism and reduced insulin sensitivity, the reaction can feel unsettling. I've asked many patients, have you ever eaten corn at night and then slept poorly or felt unusually tired the next morning? Many nodded. They just never connected the dots. If you love corn, and many do eat it earlier in the day, breakfast, lunch, or early afternoon, when your body has the energy and metabolic pace to handle it gracefully. The problem isn't the corn, it's how the aging body reacts to it. 8. Spinach. Spinach is often praised as a superfood, and rightfully so, rich in iron, folate, antioxidants. But what many people over 60 overlook is that spinach also contains a significant amount of oxalate. And oxalate is the part we need to understand clearly. I remember Samuel, 68, who was meticulous about healthy eating. He ate spinach almost daily because he believed it cleans the blood. But then he started feeling a dull ache in his back, mild burning when urinating, and occasional tingling in his hands and feet. Tests showed his kidneys were overworking, and an ultrasound found tiny calcium oxalate crystals. Not dangerous, but enough to make microcirculation more sluggish. And for people over 60, that can mean fluctuating blood pressure, cold or numb hands and feet, or a persistent sense of low energy. Let me be very clear. Spinach is not bad, it's excellent, but the aging kidney doesn't process oxalate as easily as it used to. After decades of filtering, the kidneys become more sensitive. When oxalate builds up, it can bind with calcium, forming tiny crystals that interfere with microcirculation veins, capillaries, peripheral nerves. Not a stroke risk, not an emergency, but a subtle burden on the body. I often tell patients, if you love spinach, keep eating it. Just don't let it take over your whole plate. Rotate it with low oxalate vegetables, cabbage, pumpkin, bok choy. Drink enough water so your kidneys can flush oxalate out. And if you've ever had kidney stones, burning urination, or mild back discomfort, don't ignore those whispers. That's your body saying, give me balance. Sometimes just a small dietary adjustment is enough to make your whole body feel lighter. 9. Garlic. Garlic is one of those foods I truly love. It's bold, aromatic, healing, and according to many studies, garlic naturally helps thin the blood, allowing it to flow more easily. But that very benefit can also turn garlic into a double-edged sword for people who are already taking blood-thinning medications. I remember Mr. Samuel, 74 years old. He was very health-conscious and believed strongly in natural remedies. Every morning, he chewed 2 raw garlic cloves because he heard it was good for the heart, but he was also taking aspirin and clopidogrel after having a stent placed. During a follow-up visit, he said, David, lately I bruise so easily. A light bump on the table leaves a mark for days. When we reviewed his routine, we realized that garlic with its blood-thinning effect was stacking on top of his medications. Nothing immediately dangerous, but enough to make his small blood vessels fragile and prone to bleeding. Let me make this clear so you feel reassured. Garlic does not cause dangerous bleeding. It does not trigger strokes. Problems only arise when you consume too much garlic while also taking medications such as aspirin, warfarin, clopidogrel, other anticoagulants or antiplatelet drugs. Your body after 60 becomes incredibly delicate and responsive. It doesn't want too many influences pulling in the same direction. The medication already does its job. Garlic in small, reasonable amounts is still very good for you, but when you eat a lot of it, raw garlic, pickled garlic, garlic capsules, the body can overreact. If you love garlic, keep enjoying it. Just use moderate amounts in meals. And if you're on blood thinners, talk to your doctor about your garlic habits. A simple adjustment can make a big difference in keeping your blood vessels safe. And remember what I always tell my patients, it's not the food that causes harm. It's how your body handles it at this age. 10. Asparagus. Asparagus always makes me think of something fresh and gentle, bright green, crisp, fragrant, and great for your liver and kidneys. But there's one thing many older adults don't know: asparagus has a mild diuretic effect. For younger people, that's perfectly fine. But for those over 60, when the body needs enough water to keep blood thin and vessels flexible, eating asparagus late in the evening can make you visit the bathroom more often, lose a bit of water, and as a result, your blood becomes slightly thicker overnight. I remember Mrs. Eleanor, 75, telling me whenever I eat asparagus at night, I end up getting up 2 or 3 times to pee, and in the morning, I feel heavy and my heart beats a little harder. That's a classic sign of mild dehydration, which forces your circulation to work harder. The key point is asparagus is excellent if you eat it at the right time. If you enjoy it during breakfast or lunch, your body can make full use of its gentle detox benefits. But if you eat it too late, especially if you're also taking diuretics or blood pressure medications, the combination can leave you dehydrated, with thicker blood and unnecessary strain on your vessels while you sleep. Be kind to your body. Let asparagus belong to the daytime. Sometimes, simply changing the timing of a food can change the way your entire night feels. 11. Romaine lettuce. Romaine lettuce is a beloved choice among many of my patients. Light, refreshing, easy to digest, and almost universally considered harmless. But the body after 60 has its own set of rules that we need to listen to carefully. Romaine has a gentle, natural diuretic effect. Nothing dramatic, not like asparagus, but enough to make your body release water a bit faster, especially if you eat it close to bedtime. I remember Mrs. Evelyn, 74, who ate a large bowl of romaine salad every night because she believed sleeping on a light stomach is healthier. But she kept waking up around 3 a.m. with a dry mouth, a racing heartbeat, and a sense of restlessness. When we reviewed her diet, it became clear that she was experiencing mild overnight dehydration, just enough to thicken her blood slightly, slow down circulation, and make her heart work harder. Here's what I want you to remember. Romaine isn't bad, not at all. The only issue is timing, especially if you already tend to get dehydrated. Your kidney function has slowed with age, or you're using diuretics. After 60, your body naturally holds less water. Losing even a little more overnight can cause waking up thirsty, faster heartbeat when standing up, slight dizziness in the morning, or simply poor quality sleep. If you love romaine, keep eating it. Just enjoy it at lunch or early dinner. That gives your body enough time to rebalance fluids and keep your blood flowing smoothly. And at night, give your heart and blood vessels a chance to rest peacefully. Have you ever woken up at midnight feeling dry-mouthed or oddly tired, thinking it was just aging? Sometimes the answer is sitting right there in the bowl of salad you ate before bed. 12. White radish daikon. White radish is one of those vegetables many of my patients absolutely adore. Light, cooling, easy to digest, and when cooked, it gives off that gentle aroma that feels like a bowl of peaceful broth. But for people over 60, especially those taking blood pressure medication or glucose-lowering medication, white radish can sometimes nudge the body a little further than necessary. White radish has a fascinating characteristic. It gently lowers blood pressure and blood sugar. For younger, healthy individuals, that's great. But after 60, when the body becomes more delicate, blood sugar fluctuates more easily, and nighttime blood pressure naturally dips, daikon can create a deeper drop than the body can comfortably adjust to. I remember Eleanor, 75, who loved eating a warm bowl of radish soup every evening. One day she told me, "David, every time I wake up around 3 a.m., my head feels light. When I get out of bed, my legs don't feel steady." When we checked, her nighttime blood pressure was dipping lower than usual, not dangerously low, but low enough to make her dizzy when standing. On top of that, she was taking blood pressure medication and glucose control medication, so when combined with the natural lowering effect of radish, her body had to keep readjusting throughout the night. Another patient, Charles, 68, pre-diabetic, once felt shaky at night after eating a large amount of raw radish in his dinner salad. His blood sugar dropped quietly, but a bit too far, leaving him awake with an uneasy feeling in his chest. I want you to understand this clearly. White radish is healthy. It is not harmful. It does not cause strokes, but it softens the body, lightens it. And in the evening, when your body is already slowing down, that extra effect can be a little too much for certain people. So if you love white radish, try eating it at lunch or in the afternoon, or reducing the portion if you're taking blood pressure or glucose-lowering medication. After age 60, the body becomes like a small boat moving across calm water. any small change creates ripples. Sometimes, simply changing when you eat something can give you a much more peaceful night. Have you ever felt a slight dizziness when waking up at night? Your body might be gently saying, "Tomorrow, let's eat the radish a little earlier." A safety note and a message from the heart. Before we end today's video, I want to say this slowly, clearly, because it matters deeply. The effects I've shared with you, whether from tomatoes, okra, broccoli, garlic, romaine lettuce, or white radish, are not direct causes of stroke. They are not toxins, and they are not foods you need to fear or avoid. Every one of these vegetables, when eaten the right way, in the right amount, at the right time, can be a wonderful gift to your body. The real challenge lies in the context of the body after age 60, when the kidneys don't filter as quickly as before, when blood pressure becomes more sensitive to small changes, when blood sugar rises and falls more unpredictably, when the medications you take, aspirin, warfarin, diuretics, blood pressure meds, make your body respond more strongly, when even a bit of mild dehydration can thicken the blood and force your vessels to work harder. So my purpose isn't to make you afraid of food, it's to help you understand your body. After working with thousands of older adults, I've learned something important. Your body never betrays you. It only reacts to how you care for it. Vegetables aren't the problem. Vegetables don't cause strokes. The real issue is how we eat them, the timing, the amount, our medications, our hydration, and our overall routine. One of my patients once said, "David, I didn't change anything major. I just started eating dinner later for a few months." And her body responded: poor sleep, shifting blood pressure, morning dizziness, sometimes. One tiny thing like eating a certain vegetable at night instead of midday can make a big difference at age 60, 70, or 80. My message for you is simple. Listen to your body the way you'd listen to an old friend who has walked through life with you for decades. Eat smarter, gentler, and at the right times. And always check with your doctor before making dietary changes, especially if you're on blood thinners, blood pressure meds, diabetes meds, or diuretics. I've always believed that good health doesn't come from big, dramatic changes. It comes from the small things you repeat every day: a little extra water before bed, a lighter dinner, paying just a bit more attention to what your body is whispering. If today's message helped you better understand how to protect your circulation, reduce risk, and live stronger after 60, then that is exactly why I make these videos. And if you'd like to keep receiving helpful, practical guidance from a doctor who has spent over 30 years working with older adults, I invite you. Please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps me continue creating content that can change the health of so many people. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep learning how to live healthier, slower, and deeper every single day.